Hi, my name is Bogoevski and I'm the Head of Distribution at CMC Markets, and I'm here to do the outlook of 2024. But before we do that, let's look at 2023 and the key highlights of what I'm looking for and what I've actually learned in the year, what I'll be taking forward into 2024. Now, I've been in the markets for a few decades now, and I can categorically say that 2023 was a great learning experience, pretty much like every year in finance. Top for me was inflation. And the relationship between inflation and interest rates. What we saw, it was very new for most traders and investors, was how rapid central banks increased interest rates because of the fear of inflation. And as a result of that, we saw interest rates lifted across the world in a rapid rate that we'd probably never seen before. The problem with interest rates is not so much always what the level of interest rate is, it's how quickly it goes up. And it's the acceleration of interest rates that causes the damage. Because most businesses, whether it's an individual, let's say, or a small business or even a corporate, finds it very difficult to adapt to that change. What was another thing that I learned? I was absolutely blown away by the performance of the NASDAQ and the cryptocurrency markets. They have both put on a stellar performance at this time when I'm talking to you in December. If we look at the year that was, the NASDAQ will be putting on a performance of around 42% for the year. And the Bitcoin market is likely to be up around 150% from the start of the year. This is a major performance when you compare it to other markets like the Australian market or the FTSE market. And the third thing was conflict. We'd already started the year with the Ukraine situation, but what we also saw is a new conflict in the Middle East, in Gaza and in Israel. And we saw oil markets react instantly to that. Now, as we speak in December, it appears that the market has priced in this current conflict, but it's not to say that things cannot expand and blow apart again. So we're watching this issue definitely in 2024. Now, here are the key 5 things I'm watching in 2024. Now, number 1, interest rates. Whilst I was talking about interest rates in 2023 being a major factor, it will be a major factor in 2024. As I'm speaking to you in December, we're seeing a rally going on in the bond market in the US in particular. Now, why? Around October this year, we see a trend change in the market, and I believe there's a number of factors for that. First and foremost is that we saw the core CPI figure, so inflation, starting to drop, and it's starting to drop at an accelerated rate to a more comfortable area. And number 2, interest rates. Are they actually too high for this part of the economy or where we are in the business cycle? So interest rates are, I believe, the topmost factor for the year ahead and something to definitely watch in terms of a continuation of interest rates falling across the world at the moment. Now, number 2, recession. This is an interesting question, and I think recession has probably been parts of the economy, whether you're in the services or manufacturing industry, or depending on which world you're living in at the moment, I think it's been a major factor and probably been present throughout pretty much 2022, 2023, and maybe even 2024. And as I speak, both the Australian market, both in the services and manufacturing industry, are likely to be in some form of recession right now. Although technically we haven't seen it, with official GDP figures not pointing to a negative print, there are parts of the economy that probably are in a recession right now. Anyone working within the services industry is probably going through some form of, or seeing around them some form of staff cuts, budget contraction, or even clientele having a bit of a negative sentiment about their own outlook on the world. Recession is absolutely the number 2 key factor I'm looking for, and whether we actually see it printed in 2024. Number 3, geopolitics. Yep, we're going to see a continuation of geopolitics in the new year. We still have the Ukraine situation and we still have the Middle Eastern conflict situation. Now, right now, it seems fairly contained, and with the US showing its own foreign policy in the region and trying to contain the situation, but it does not say whether we see it expand any further. Now, markets that are likely to be affected by this situation is the oil market. One other factor that, in terms of a geopolitical situation that I'm watching, is this notion of a bipolar superpower situation. where we're seeing fractures happening either between China and the US, also between Russia and the US. At the beginning of the year, we saw fractures in the semiconductor industries where we saw superpowers using it for geopolitical gain. And what we also saw was the notion of semiconductor industries in terms of a fight between semiconductor producers, whether it's out of Taiwan, whether it's out of America. We're watching that industry and the impact of how politics plays in that sector. Number 4, and this is a big one I think for 2024, is the US elections. This will probably be the center point of the year. I think we're targeting, obviously it's the November election, but what we've got to remember is there'll be lots of positioning in the market around, and particularly around who the elected official will be for the Republican Party. Now, there are a number of names that will be put forward and markets will react to who becomes the leading candidate. So we'll be watching this space closely, particularly around the lead up to the November area. And so I would be looking for that as a big impact for the 2024. And number 5, technology. We saw AI come through earlier in the year, but what we should also be watching is US large caps in general. US large caps already started to show a strong performance and pivot from what is a deep sell-off in 2022, and in the back of 2022, around November, actually October and November, starting to rally and haven't really stopped throughout 2023 and was likely to continue in 2024. We will likely see a continuation of that pattern into the new year, so we'll be watching for US large caps and NASDAQ continuing the current pattern of 2023. Aside from this, we need to look at the Australian market and how the Australian market will perform in its 3rd year. It will now be 2 years of pretty much flat performance. 2022 and 2023 are likely to be single-digit performance years. And is the Australian market to show a better performance in 2024? I am looking for a mean reversion of this market and some catch-up play either in the Australian market and also in the UK markets. Okay, so to wrap up, one of the things to look forward to in 2024 is being able to separate yourself from headlines versus what the price action is in markets. And this is perhaps one of the most difficult things in financial markets. The headlines are telling us a recession, yet the NASDAQ is showing a performance of 45%. And how do you separate yourself to make the trade and execute on investments? And this is where the difficulty will lie in 2024. Trader sentiment will be challenged throughout the first half of the year, and with the interest rates dropping, we're going to probably see excessive exuberance. Property prices may continue to go up, plus we'll see continuation of highly sensitive markets like the NASDAQ and Bitcoin markets continue to go up because liquidity is starting to increase. Now, that liquidity probably started to increase in 2023, but what we would like to see it continue through the broader based performances of the Australian market, the UK market, and throughout emerging markets as well. Now, if you're looking for more information on Outlook 2024, click on the links below. Now, from me and everyone here at CMC, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's all hope for peaceful times ahead. Thank you.